Okay, hello and welcome to my first ever booktube video. My name is Veldon Reed, so this is all my face reveal and also my beginning reveal for YouTube. So for this video, I'll be talking about my top 10 fantasy books of all time. And so we'll be starting it off strong with number 10, which is Malice by John Gwynne. This is an amazing book. All of these books will be 5-star reads for sure. So Malice is the first book in a series called The Faithful and the Fallen. In this series, we follow quite a large cast of characters who all live all around what we call the Banished Lands. Whether it be Corbin and Kyowen, brothers and sisters from a remote village, Nathair, an ambitious prince who is introduced in this book, or even Castell, who is a giant killer. So the cast is quite varied, and one of the reasons why I enjoyed this book so much was because I enjoyed all of the character POVs that were introduced in it. The world building for this book is really nice. John Gwynne has this amazing style of writing where he will often have character POVs from different sides of the conflicts, and so you can really see what the bad guys would think and what the good guys would think. And so it's really nice having to see both sides of this conflict throughout the book. Keep in mind, I've only read Malice so far. I've not read the other books in this series, but I'll be starting them off quite soon, actually. Good. So number 9 on this list would be the classic Wheel of Time books. So this is number 3 of the Wheel of Time books, The Dragon Reborn. If you read fantasy books, you probably know what the Wheel of Time is. I've not yet read the whole 15 books in this series. I've only read the first 5, but number 3 I think is my favorite, as it really this is the beginning of where the series starts to really become this huge thing, where we see the different POV characters kind of going off on their own and doing their own thing, and it really helped me have more appreciation for some of these characters, which I really love at the moment. And so The Dragon Reborn is really awesome. You should totally read it if you like classic fantasy books. And super long series as well, because it's 15 books long. So number 7 on this list is actually a book that I don't own any physical copy of. And this is book 3 of the Rhaeria Revelations book. The name of this book is The Heir of Navron, which I'll be putting up on screen here, I guess. And this book is an amazing book. It's the third in the trilogy, as I've said, and so I can't speak too much about it, as there's going to be lots of spoilers about it. One of the reasons why I love Rhaeria Revelations so much is because of the two main characters. The two main characters, which are Royce and Hadrian, have such opposing personalities, but are so complementary at the same time. We see Royce is this kind of rogue assassin, very pessimistic in his behaviors, whereas Hadrian is this super optimistic hero, good guy, and so they're teaming up throughout these books to do a whole bunch of tasks. They're kind of mercenaries together, and just the bromance in this book is just incredible, and you should totally read these books just for those two characters. But Michael J. Sullivan, which is the author of these books, is able to get even more out of this story than just the bromance. He has these twists and turns throughout the book and some amazing reveals, so you should totally read these books. So book number 6 in this series of top 10 fantasy books is actually where I don't have it physically, but it's the third book in the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. It would be actually right here, and it would be The Hero of Ages. And so once again, I can't speak too much about it as it's book 3 in the trilogy, but just to say that Brandon Sanderson has the best endings in all of fantasy. He is able to has what we call the Sanderlanche, which is an incredible turns of events that just keeps on being more and more epic. And so The Hero of Ages is an amazing book. We see the end events of the Mistborn trilogy, and it's the beginning as well as of Mistborn Era 2. And so I really recommend it, and it really destroyed me. It's really sad. Okay, so now we're at book number 5, I believe. So book number 5 is our first repeat author on this list, and this is still again John Gwynne. we've got The Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne. This is a different series from Malice, which was in the Faithful and the Fallen series, and this follows more of a story along the lines of Vikings. And so we see lots of different world building elements related to Vikings. We also see lots of different fantasy aspects, which are super interesting. This is the second book in a trilogy, but once again, I can't talk too much about it as it will be a bit spoilery, but if we just talk about the main aspects of world building in this series, it's just that the gods, which are all dead, which have been killed in the past, are now coming back to life, and it's super interesting. And so once again, as I've said, for John Gwynne, he's able to create, to have these different POV characters where we see people from different sides of different conflicts, and I find that super interesting, and John Gwynne does that best, in my opinion. And so, Hunger of the Gods from the Bloodsworn saga. You should totally read this book. Once again, I keep saying that, but yeah. Number 5 in this list is from Joe Abercrombie, and this is Before They Were Hanged. This is book 2 in the first original trilogy of First Law, and it's just a fantastic series. First Law is this grimdark series where we see some dark humor and some just amazing characters that are throughout the books. I've only read 4 of all of the First Law books. So I've read the first trilogy, and I've read Best Served Cold, all of which were 5-star reads in my opinion. But I really loved Before They Were Hanged, as I don't know. This is where I was able to have the most epic moments in the books. There was this long journey in this book where we see lots of character development from different characters, and I really enjoyed that. And I just loved hanging back with the characters, with Logan, with Glokta, with all of these characters. They are just really cool, and Abercrombie made a really good job into making them feel alive and real. So yeah, book number 5. Okay, so number 4 on this list is a book where you can clearly see right here on my bookshelf, and this is The Black-Tongued Thief by Christopher Buehlman. This is also a special edition from Midworld Press, which is absolutely stunning. So has some beautiful interior art. The Black-Tongued Thief is this humoristic high fantasy book. It follows a few characters which are going through a quest throughout this goblin-infested world, and this may seem very bleak and very dark, but Christopher Buehlman is this hilarious author, and he's able to bring these characters through dark moments, but with humor, and it's really well made. And I really loved this book, and I can't wait to read the prequel of this book, which will be coming out hopefully soon. Next up on this list is number 4. This will be Empire of Silence by Christopher Riacchio. This is book 1 in a 7-book long series called the Sun Eater series, and this is a sci fantasy book, so it's a lot more science fiction-esque than most of these other books that I've talked about, but I absolutely loved this book. It's so big in its scope, and it has this amazing, beautifully created, framed narrative, so that we kind of know what the ending will be in this book right at the beginning, but it's so well made that you just want to keep on reading. Christopher Riacchio's prose is just absolutely stunning, and so I'm super excited to read the other books in this series, as this is book 1, and I have not yet read the other books in this series, which are right behind me, but I'm really excited, I should say, to read the rest of the series. Number 2 on this list is up high, and this is Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. This is book 2 in the Stormlight Archive series, and this is an amazing book. Most people that read fantasy know what this book is, and most people have already read it. It's considered one of the best books in fantasy, and I totally agree. So this is set in a world where we see these huge high storms that appear, I don't know, about weekly, I guess, and these ravage the whole landscape, which is why we only see rocks and huge cliffs and stuff. We don't see any dirt, or all of the vegetation and stuff, and the creatures have all evolved because of these huge storms. And yeah, so we follow the same cast of characters that we do in book 1, and it's just more epic, more connections, more of everything, and it's really, in my opinion, the peak of Sanderson's writing style in this book. And I can't wait to read book 5, which comes out in 2024, I think. Yeah. And so, finally, my top book of all time that I've read in fantasy. This is The Lost Metal by Brandon Sanderson. This is the last book in Mistborn Era 2, and it's an absolutely fantastic book. Brandon Sanderson, as I've mentioned before, he nails endings. This is why I'm super excited to read Stormlight 5 in 2024. But so far, all of the endings I've read from Brandon Sanderson have been totally awesome, and this is the best ending Sanderson has written, in my opinion, in all of his Cosmere books. I am super excited to see what Era 3 brings us. And so just a little bit about this book without talking too much about spoilers. This follows Wax and Wayne in this era where we see some guns, and we see a little bit more Western style fantasy books. And so Brandon Sanderson is able to implement this amazing magic system into a more modern world, and in my opinion, it's super well introduced, and I got really attached to all of the characters. So it really made me sad seeing this being the last book in the series, because I knew I wouldn't see these characters again, and so because I really fell in love with them. And so this is it. This was my top 10 fantasy books of all time. I hope you enjoyed. I hope we have some similar books, and I hope this gave you as well some recommendations for other books that you may enjoy. So thank you for watching this video. Hopefully there's much more to come, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
Hey!